One angry message can destroy a relationship in seconds. One emotional decision can erase years of hard work. One moment of weakness can change the direction of an entire life. The painful truth is that most people don't lose because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity. They lose because they make important decisions while their emotions are in control. Anger speaks first. Fear says don't try. Jealousy whispers that everyone else is winning. Rejection convinces you to give up. Stress pushes you toward choices that feel good for a moment but create regret for years. The surprising part is that mentally strong people are not born with special emotional control. They feel the same fear before taking a risk. They experience the same anger after being treated unfairly. They struggle with disappointment, loneliness, and self-doubt, just like everyone else. The difference is hidden in one small habit that most people never notice. Instead of allowing emotions to make their decisions, they make their decisions first and let their emotions catch up later. That single difference separates those who constantly regret their actions from those who stay calm under pressure and keep moving forward. Modern psychology has shown that emotions are designed to protect us, but they were never meant to become the leaders of our lives. Yet millions of people unknowingly hand over control every single day, reacting instead of thinking, quitting instead of adapting, and speaking instead of listening. The result is a cycle of unnecessary mistakes that slowly weakens confidence, relationships, and personal growth. The good news is that emotional strength is not a gift reserved for a lucky few. It is a skill that can be learned, practiced, and strengthened over time, no matter your age or background. In this video, you will discover why certain emotions become so powerful, why your brain often works against your best interests, and how mentally strong people stay calm even when everything around them falls apart. You will also learn practical techniques to stop reacting on impulse, control anger before it controls you, overcome fear without pretending it doesn't exist, and build the kind of emotional discipline that creates lasting confidence and respect. Stay with us until the very end because the final lesson brings everything together into one simple principle that can completely change the way you handle pressure, conflict, and difficult situations for the rest of your life. Every minute builds on the last, and skipping ahead could mean missing the one idea that changes how you see your own emotions forever. Welcome to the channel, where we explore the mindset, psychology, and timeless wisdom that help ordinary people become mentally stronger every day. If you're ready to master your emotions instead of being controlled by them, subscribe now and join us as we begin this journey toward real inner strength. The biggest lie people believe about emotions is that becoming mentally strong means becoming emotionless. That idea sounds powerful, but it is completely wrong. No human being reaches a point where fear disappears forever, anger never returns, or sadness never visits again. Even the greatest leaders in history felt fear before making difficult decisions. Elite athletes still feel nervous before important competitions. Successful entrepreneurs still doubt themselves before taking huge risks. Philosophers who spent their lives studying the human mind admitted that emotions never truly disappear. The difference was never the absence of emotion, the difference was control. They understood that emotions are visitors, not rulers. They allowed themselves to feel every emotion without allowing those emotions to take control of their actions. That is a skill most people never develop. Instead, they believe that whatever they feel at the moment must be true and must be followed immediately. If they feel angry, they think they should react. If they feel afraid, they think they should stop. If they feel rejected, they believe they are not good enough. But emotions are not facts, they are signals. Fear may be warning you about danger, but it can also appear when you are about to do something meaningful. Anger may point to unfair treatment, but it can also push you toward words you will regret for years. Sadness can remind you that something matters deeply, but it does not mean your future is hopeless. Every emotion carries information, but none of them should become your commander. Modern psychology continues to support this idea. The goal is not to suppress emotions until they disappear. The goal is to understand them, accept them, and decide your response with a clear mind. That is why emotionally strong people often look calm in situations where everyone else is losing control. They are not feeling less than anyone else. They are simply refusing to let their emotions make important decisions for them. Feeling emotions is part of being human. Following every emotion is a choice. That choice quietly shapes every relationship, every opportunity, and every future success. If emotions are not the real enemy, then what actually makes us weak? The answer becomes clear when we look at the emotions that secretly control millions of lives every single day. The first is fear. Fear is one of the oldest survival tools in the human brain. Thousands of years ago, it protected people from dangerous animals and deadly environments. Today, that same system often reacts to completely different situations. It treats a job interview like a life-threatening event. It treats speaking in front of people as if survival is at risk. It treats starting a business as if failure means the end of everything. Fear tells people to wait until they feel ready, but that day almost never comes. Countless dreams disappear because someone waited for confidence before taking action. Businesses are never started, books are never written, relationships never begin. Talented people remain silent because fear convinces them that staying comfortable is safer than risking embarrassment. The tragedy is that many people never actually fail, they never even begin. Fear destroys more opportunities than failure ever could because failure at least teaches lessons. Fear often teaches nothing except avoidance. Then comes anger. Anger is different because it creates the illusion of strength. When people are angry, they often feel powerful. Their voice becomes louder, their heartbeat becomes faster, their confidence seems to increase. But this temporary feeling hides a dangerous truth. Anger narrows judgment, it reduces patience, it pushes people toward quick decisions without considering long-term consequences. Think about the arguments that destroyed close friendships. Think about families that stopped speaking because of one conversation. Think about careers damaged by one emotional email or one uncontrolled outburst. Most people rarely regret staying calm. They regret reacting too quickly. They regret the words that escaped before their mind had time to catch up. 1 minute of anger can create years of regret because emotions move much faster than wisdom. Mentally strong people understand this. They know that winning an argument is meaningless if they lose a relationship in the process. Another emotion that quietly controls modern life is the need for validation. This emotion is often invisible because it hides behind normal behavior. People check their phones every few minutes, hoping for replies. They count likes and comments as if those numbers measure their worth. They constantly wonder what others think about them. They change their opinions just to fit in. They stay in unhealthy relationships because they fear being alone. They become exhausted trying to make everyone happy, only to discover that pleasing everyone is impossible. The moment your happiness depends on another person's approval, you hand them control over your emotional state. A compliment makes your day, a criticism ruins it. A delayed reply creates anxiety. Silence feels like rejection. Life becomes a constant search for acceptance instead of a journey guided by your own values. The strongest people are not those who receive the most approval. They are the ones who no longer need approval to make the right decisions. Then there is jealousy, an emotion that has become even stronger in today's world. Every day people scroll through endless pictures of vacations, expensive cars, perfect relationships, successful careers, and smiling faces. They compare someone else's highlight reel with their own ordinary moments. Slowly they begin to believe everyone else is happier, richer, more attractive, and more successful. Jealousy steals attention from personal growth because energy that could improve your own life gets wasted comparing yourself with someone else's. Instead of asking, "How can I become better?" the mind keeps asking, "Why are they ahead of me?" Peace disappears because comparison never ends. There will always be someone with more money, more followers, more achievements, or more recognition. Chasing comparison is like chasing the horizon. No matter how far you go, it keeps moving. The only comparison that truly matters is whether you are becoming wiser, kinder, stronger, and more disciplined than you were yesterday. The final emotion is overthinking. Unlike anger or fear, overthinking often looks harmless because nothing seems to happen on the outside. But inside the mind, endless conversations continue without stopping. People replay old mistakes over and over again. They create arguments that never happen. They predict disasters that never arrive. They build imaginary futures filled with failure before taking the first step. Hours are spent worrying about situations that exist only inside the imagination. The brain begins treating these imaginary events as if they are real. Stress hormones increase, anxiety grows stronger, confidence disappears, all because of stories that have never actually happened. This is one of the greatest tricks the human mind can play. It creates suffering before reality has even had a chance to unfold. Now here is the frightening part. None of these emotions are the true problem. Fear is not the enemy. Anger is not the enemy. Jealousy is not the enemy. Even overthinking is not the real enemy. The real problem is what happens next. The human brain is designed to seek immediate comfort. It wants relief as quickly as possible. Logic takes time because thinking requires effort. Emotion is faster because it is automatic. Someone becomes angry and instantly sends a message they later wish they could erase. Someone feels sad and decides to quit instead of resting and trying again tomorrow. Someone feels afraid and avoids an opportunity that could have changed their future. Someone feels lonely and chases people who never truly valued them. Someone feels stressed and makes reckless decisions simply to escape uncomfortable feelings. None of these actions happen because people are weak. They happen because reactions become automatic. The emotion appears and behavior follows without a pause. This invisible habit repeats itself thousands of times until it becomes a way of life. The strongest people in the world break this pattern in one surprisingly simple way. They create space between the emotion and the action. While others react instantly, they pause. It may only last a few seconds, but those few seconds change everything. Before replying to a hurtful message, they pause. Before shouting during an argument, they pause. Before quitting after one bad day, they pause. Before posting something they might regret online, they pause. Those brief moments allow logic to catch up with emotion. The feeling may still be there, but it no longer controls the decision. That small pause often determines whether a relationship survives, whether an opportunity is taken, or whether a mistake is avoided. More lives have been changed by a few seconds of patience than most people will ever realize, because your future is often decided in the 5 seconds after your emotions try to take control. The next step in mastering your emotions begins long before the emotion itself becomes powerful. It begins with your thoughts. Most people believe that emotions appear out of nowhere, but that is rarely how the mind works. In most situations, thoughts come first, and emotions follow right behind them. Your brain is constantly creating explanations for everything that happens around you. Those explanations shape how you feel, and those feelings shape what you do next. This process happens so quickly that most people never notice it. They believe life makes them feel a certain way, when in reality it is often their interpretation of life that creates the emotional reaction. Think about a simple situation. You send an important message to someone, and hours pass without a reply. The event itself is very small. It is only an unanswered message, but then your mind begins working. One person immediately thinks, they are ignoring me because they don't like me anymore. Within seconds, anxiety appears. Doubt grows stronger. The mind starts searching for proof. Old memories of rejection come back. Confidence begins to disappear. Another person faces the exact same situation but thinks differently. They are probably busy. They will reply when they have time. Nothing changes except the thought. Yet the emotional result is completely different. Instead of anxiety, there is patience. Instead of panic, there is peace. The event never changed, only the interpretation changed. This happens every single day in ways people rarely notice. A friend forgets your birthday. One mind says, I don't matter. Another says, people make mistakes. You lose a job. One mind says, my life is over. Another says, this is painful, but it may lead to something better. Someone criticizes your work. One mind hears, I am a failure. Another hears, I have something to improve. The same event can create completely different emotions depending on the story your mind decides to tell. This is why learning to question your first thought is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Not every thought deserves your trust. The human mind often jumps to the worst possible conclusion because it is trying to protect you from danger. Thousands of years ago, that instinct helped humans survive. Today, it often creates unnecessary fear in situations that are not dangerous at all. Your first thought is not always your wisest thought. Sometimes your first thought is simply your oldest habit speaking. The more you practice healthier ways of interpreting situations, the more balanced your emotions become. You stop assuming the worst. You stop creating problems before they exist. You stop giving every negative thought the power to decide your mood. Slowly, emotional stability begins with mental discipline. This leads to another truth that many people overlook. Emotions are not only reactions, they can also become habits. Just as the body becomes stronger through repeated exercise, the mind becomes stronger or weaker depending on the emotions it practices every day. Every repeated emotional pattern builds a pathway in the brain. At first, it happens without much notice. A person complains once because they had a difficult day. That is normal, but then complaining becomes the first response to every challenge. Eventually, the brain begins searching for things to complain about automatically. Another person worries about one future event, then they worry about tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year. Over time, worrying becomes their normal way of thinking. They wake up expecting problems before the day has even begun. Another person constantly compares themselves with everyone around them. Every success they see makes them feel smaller. Every achievement by someone else becomes proof that they are falling behind. Without realizing it, comparison becomes their daily habit. Then there is the victim mindset. Life becomes a long list of reasons why nothing is their responsibility. Every failure is someone else's fault. Every setback is unfair. Every disappointment becomes proof that life is against them. This way of thinking may provide temporary comfort because it removes responsibility, but it also removes power. If everything is someone else's fault, then nothing can ever change because control always belongs to someone else. Emotional habits grow quietly. They become automatic because the brain loves repetition. The more often you react in the same emotional way, the easier that reaction becomes the next time. It is like walking through a field. The first path is difficult because the grass is tall. Walk the same path every day, and eventually a clear trail appears. The brain works in a similar way. Every repeated emotional response creates a stronger mental pathway. Eventually, your reactions no longer feel like choices, they feel like your personality. People start saying things like, I have always been anxious, or I have always had a bad temper, or this is just who I am. But often it is not identity, it is habit, and habits can be changed. The moment you stop feeding unhealthy emotional patterns, they slowly begin to lose their strength. At first it feels uncomfortable because your brain wants to return to familiar reactions, but with practice, new habits become stronger than the old ones. Gratitude can replace constant complaining, curiosity can replace fear, responsibility can replace the victim mindset, self-improvement can replace comparison, calm thinking can replace endless worrying. Every day you choose which emotional habits become stronger. This is why relying on motivation alone is never enough. Motivation feels exciting, but it comes and goes. Some mornings you wake up ready to change your life. Other mornings you feel tired, discouraged, or distracted. If your emotional strength depends only on motivation, then your progress will always rise and fall with your feelings. Mentally strong people build habits instead of waiting for inspiration. They understand that small daily actions shape the mind more than occasional bursts of motivation ever could. A simple morning reflection can change the direction of an entire day. Spending a few quiet minutes before the noise of the world begins allows you to prepare your mind instead of reacting to whatever happens. Exercise does far more than strengthen muscles. It teaches discipline. It teaches consistency. It teaches the brain that discomfort does not always need to be avoided. Every completed workout becomes evidence that you can do difficult things even when you do not feel like it. Journaling is another powerful habit because it slows your thinking down. Thoughts that feel confusing inside your head often become much clearer when they are written on paper. Problems become smaller because you can finally see them instead of carrying them everywhere in your mind. Reading also trains emotional discipline. It exposes you to new ideas, different perspectives, and lessons learned by people who lived hundreds or even thousands of years before you. Every good book reminds you that your struggles are not unique and that wisdom already exists if you are willing to search for it. Meditation strengthens another important skill. It teaches you to notice your thoughts without immediately reacting to them. Instead of chasing every worry or every fear, you learn to observe them and let them pass. That simple practice creates more control over your emotional life than many people realize. Even sleep plays a major role. A tired brain struggles to regulate emotions. Small problems feel much bigger when the body is exhausted. Patience becomes harder. Anger arrives faster. Anxiety grows stronger. Something as simple as consistent sleep improves emotional control because the brain functions better when it is properly rested. None of these habits seem dramatic on their own. They are quiet, they are ordinary, but repeated every day, they slowly transform the mind. A disciplined lifestyle creates a disciplined mind because every small habit teaches your brain that it does not need to obey every feeling. This way of living connects closely with an ancient philosophy that has remained powerful for centuries. The Stoics understood something that many people still struggle to accept today. Much of life's suffering comes from trying to control things that were never ours to control. People spend endless energy worrying about other people's opinions. They replay the past even though it cannot be changed. They become angry about bad luck, as if anger could rewrite reality. They try to control the behavior of family members, friends, coworkers, or strangers, only to become frustrated when people make their own choices. The Stoics believed this endless struggle creates unnecessary emotional pain. Instead of fighting reality, they focused on the things that always remain within personal control. You cannot choose what other people think about you, but you can choose your character. You cannot erase yesterday, but you can decide what you do today. You cannot prevent every setback, but you can control your response to it. You cannot stop every storm from arriving, but you can decide how you stand when it does. This simple shift changes everything. The moment your happiness no longer depends on controlling the uncontrollable, life becomes lighter. Criticism loses some of its power. Delays become easier to accept. Unexpected problems stop feeling like personal attacks. Freedom begins when your attention moves away from what you cannot control and returns to the choices that belong only to you. Every decision, every attitude, every action, and every moment of self-control becomes another step toward emotional strength that no outside event can easily take away. Real strength has never been about becoming emotionless. It has never been about pretending that fear doesn't exist, hiding your sadness, or forcing yourself to never feel anger. Those emotions are part of being human, and they always will be. The real difference is what you choose to do after those emotions appear. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you become a little stronger. Every time you choose patience over anger, courage over fear, and wisdom over impulse, you build a version of yourself that is harder to break. These small moments may not seem important at the time, but they slowly shape your character, your relationships, and your future. The strongest people are not born with perfect emotional control. They build it one decision at a time, day after day, until staying calm becomes part of who they are. Remember, emotions can knock on the door of your mind, but you never have to hand them the keys. You always have the power to choose your response, and that single choice can change the direction of your entire life. So the next time fear tells you to quit, anger tells you to react, jealousy tells you to compare, or anxiety tells you the worst is about to happen, stop for a moment, take a breath, let your mind lead instead of your emotions. That one pause could save a relationship, create a new opportunity, or completely change your future. The strongest person is not the one who never feels fear, anger, or sadness. It is the one who feels them all and still chooses wisdom over impulse. The day your emotions stop controlling your actions is the day your life truly begins to change. If this video helped you see your emotions in a new way, don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Click the like button so more people can discover it. Share this video with someone who needs to hear these words today, and subscribe to our channel for more videos on psychology, self-mastery, and timeless wisdom that can help you build a stronger, calmer, and more confident life. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.